Hi, so with the news today that Battle for Azeroth has sold in its first day 3.4 million copies. Now, there are a couple of things in the press release. It, first of all, well, not only said it sold 3.4 million, but it also said that it set a new day one sales record. I'll compare that with the previous two in a moment. And making it one of the fastest selling PC games of all time. Now, a couple of comparisons first before I get onto the main topic here. I'm not going to go on too long. So, Warlords of Draenor and Legion both sold 3.3 million on the first day. So it's a slight increase on that. And I think both of those were reputed to have eventually, when the dust settled, sold 10 million units. I think Warlords of Draenor, I think we know that. I think Legion, it's only reputed because by the time Legion rolled around, Blizzard were into not really telling us too many figures apart from the ones they wanted to. They used to give quite a lot of figures on subs and things like that, and now they don't, which is fair enough, they don't have to. But I think someone let slip that the Legion did as well as Warlords of Draenor in terms of those initial sales, not just the sales on the first day. So, of course, that might mean that Battle for Azeroth would also get a slight increase there. And a lot of people will make a lot of the fact that, oh, of course, World of Warcraft is way far from its heyday, where it had ridiculous numbers of people playing it during Wrath of the Lich King, and people sort of like to give the impression it's on this downward slope and getting lower and lower and lower. And you hear it even now, even with Legion having a largely positive review from most people. People will still look at it. I think, especially in their own mind. In my mind, it's the same thing as well, if truth be told, where it's not as good as it was, and you sort of like to believe that other people are of the same opinion. But it's just not true. Sure, there's not as many people playing it now as did in Wrath. We don't know exactly how many people are playing it. You can try and guess these things with census programs, but ultimately we don't know. 4 million, 5 million, who knows? And of course it changes. We also know that and Blizzard are constantly trying to chase this market. There are people who will subscribe for a little bit, like subscribe, new expansion comes out, all exciting, subscribe for a bit, and then maybe not subscribe. Some of them will carry on subscribed. How many players in that boat? Who knows? Don't really know about that one. But what it shows is that the game is not declining in terms of its popularity. We also know from other MMOs that they can keep on going and keep putting out new expansions with way, way fewer. Even the most pessimistic view of how many subscribers Blizzard may have would blow out of the water other MMOs that are still going on, still putting out expansions and new content. So the amount that's required to go back into it is a tiny amount of the what Blizzard make from the game. So it can go on as long as they want it to. But there were just a couple of comparisons. I was particularly interested in the fastest selling PC game of all time. It says one of the fastest, bear in mind, just, not the fastest. Because I was thinking to myself, well, how I don't really know how to get that information. Of course, I went into Google, and of course, all you're going to find is wiki pages. I was quite interested to note a couple of things. So in 2002, Diablo 3, Diablo 3, whichever you prefer, I tend to make it interchangeable, which is another Blizzard game, of course, super popular, sold 6.3 million in its first week. Now, it's not a direct comparison because we're saying 3.4 million the first day. I assume that means the pre-orders as well, like I ordered it half a year before. So I assume it means that as well. So 3.4 million were able to access the new Battle for Azeroth content on the first day, and we all felt it, didn't we? We all did feel it, and especially if you were on the Draenor server on EU, which I was not, thankfully. But what I was thinking is, and that was, some time ago, 6 years ago, and there's maybe a much smaller market for PC games now. I don't think there's any maybe about it. Far more people are more likely to play games on a console than they are on a PC these days. Particularly as, I suppose, to get a dedicated gaming computer, you don't need a dedicated gaming computer to play in lowish settings, but, to play on good settings, it costs more, of course, and unless you're going to use that PC for other things or have quite a lot of disposable income, a lot of people would just prefer to get a console, I suppose. So to to get so many units sold, put it into context, is remarkable. It's an ever tightening PC market. It's an ever restricting MMO market. There's no growth in the number of MMO players really significantly. There might be new people playing MMOs that haven't played it before, but there are other people that are stopping playing MMOs as well. I don't think there's any net growth really, nothing significant, and there hasn't been for a while. And yet there are more titles, and people still produce some excellent titles, like Elder Scrolls Online is probably the most recent really good title. So it is remarkable, and it shows the strength of the game. And although I think World of Warcraft is going to fundamentally change very soon, Blizzard seem to be going down a road where they are going to... Something about it is going to fundamentally change. And a lot of people, and it's very understandable, you can't help doing it yourself, can you? Are thinking in terms of, World of Warcraft 2. But as I keep saying, where's the benefit for them? The game itself is super strong. It really is massively strong. Another little thing I picked out, again, sorry, it's Wikipedia. I'm not certain it's 100% accurate. But I saw here, and this is late, up to date, 2018, PlayStation 4 and Xbox game Monster Hunt World sold 5 million units in its first 3 days. As compared, as I say, to World of Warcraft with an expansion, an 8th version of itself, selling 3.4 million in its first day. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's a huge amount. When you think about a game that some people will just can't get it out of their heads as regarding as something that's on the wane, and you just look at it, and you can look at it dispassionate and say, okay, well, on the first day you had 3.3 million who'd bought it ready to play on the first day in Worlds of Draenor, 3.3 million in Legion, which was remarkable given Worlds of Draenor. You might have expected a few people to have held back and waited to see what it was like before shelling out the money for it after Warlords of Draenor got panned so much. But for it to be what might appear as a percentage, a modest increase from 3.3 million to 3.4 million. But that doesn't matter. The fact is it's an increase. And even if it weren't, it's on par. It's not showing any signs of slowing down. Blizzard are showing every signs that this MMO is still king of the hill and can maintain that position for many years to come. I remember when the 10th anniversary came out for World of Warcraft, and I was talking about, what we're going to do for the 20th anniversary. People just laughed. There was no way this game was going to be there for a 20th anniversary. How could it? MMOs don't last that long. PC games don't last that long. That's all there is to it. You might bring out a sequel with a better engine or something. A game doesn't last that long. It does now. It does now. I mean, where are we on? It came out in 2004. We're not, in North America, we're not very far from the 14th anniversary. A couple of months away, aren't we? 2 or 3 months from the 14th anniversary. Okay, 6 more years would mean another 2 full expansions. We say an expansion lasts about 2 years. So Battle for Azeroth, which has just come out, another 2 expansions, and then maybe another one on top of that just coming out in time for a 20th anniversary. Unless Blizzard want to stop World of Warcraft, who's going to say that it's not going to be there for its 20th anniversary? It absolutely can. It absolutely can. And it looks very much... Blizzard said a year or 2 ago that they were looking at World of Warcraft for the long term. They were working things out long term. You might expect them to say that anyway, because they don't want people to feel that it's coming to a close, because then people will become less invested into it. But who's to say that they were exaggerating? I don't believe they're exaggerating at all. And I think these figures show that this is not a game on the wane, and this is a game that is maintaining a lofty position. It's not trundling along like other games that I like Lord of the Rings Online, Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's maintaining a very high level, just because there aren't as many people play as in Wrath of the Lich King, which was not just the heyday of World of Warcraft, but the heyday of MMOs. Doesn't mean to say that it is not absolutely killing it as a game in its own right, and there's no reason at all why Blizzard cannot come up with a 10-year plan from now, if they wanted, if that's what they wanted. I shudder to think, how many levels we're going to need to get for that far. And I also wonder, what new zones we're going to have to explore. At some point, they're going to have to come up with a new place to go that wasn't covered in the Warcraft RTS games, which is what I think they're gearing up for. I really do. I think they're gearing up for a radical change in the storyline to stop borrowing from Warcraft 1, 2 and 3 and actually do something. Because World of Warcraft, in its own right, has outlasted those games in terms of how long they remained, top of their game. And it should have its own flavour. And I think it's going to. So anyway, let me know what you think down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later. And have fun doing those world quests.